Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Do you remember what you were doing on January 6th of this year? Were you fortunate enough to have the events of the day go by you completely and not find out till you got home? Or were you glued to the media, to television, radio, internet, trying to find every news, every detail in news as it broke? I fell in the latter category. It's the first time since 9/11 that I disrupted my workday to follow a news story. And it was exciting. The other tragedy that day, not to minimize that in any way, was my encounter with the cartoon bird, the Twitter logo. I've known about Twitter since it began. I was in graduate school researching online communication when it started. I didn't have the interest to join. I did join Facebook. I've told this story before, and it was early 2006. You still had to have a .edu email address to belong, so I joined. And because it was all university-based across the nation, each school had rooms set up for your groups, set up for your classes. So I joined the class I was teaching. And you all know the public speaking advice to imagine your audience in their underwear. Well, after seeing my students' Facebook pages, I didn't have to imagine anymore. I quickly got out of that group and moved on with my research. I once became available, got a few friends. My 30th high school reunion came up, got a few high school friends. Eventually I learned, as some comics said, Facebook is good for finding out what the kids of the people you went to college with look like and the political opinions of your high school friends. I learned both. More or less stopped using it. Every once in a while I'll get an email that somebody's messaged me or wants to be my friend, which I generally accept. So Twitter, it remained in the background until 2008 when I was teaching a writing class and one of my students worked for the Republican Party. And if you recall the 2008 election, the Coleman Franken recount. She came in and said, they really want me to work a lot. I really have to do this. Is there a way, some accommodation for the class? I won't have the time to attend class. I said, tell you what, for your course project, this is a business communication course, write a paper on the communication you use. How is this coordinated? How do you get instructions? How do you communicate with your teams? The answer, Twitter. They did all their communication through Twitter. I don't remember the precise details. I wish I still had her paper. It'd be interesting looking back now that I know more about Twitter. Well, within a couple months, I joined Twitter. I got an account. Was friended by a few people from my professional associations, somebody I worked with, the janitor at my son's high school. It was nothing I used. And I didn't really have the time at that point. I was still in grad, I don't remember the exact, but I didn't have the time to learn because I don't learn technology, any kind of technology, until I need to use it. If I need to use it, if I need to know it, like when my boss comes and said, have you ever worked with this program? I've played around with it. I can tell you more on Monday. And one of these days, she keeps threatening to have me explain pivot tables in Microsoft Excel. I dread having to learn those. I'm a writer, not technology, not an accountant. Well, January 6th came around, and I had been following blogs for a while, but by now there's only one that I was following regularly, and I learned about what was happening in Washington from one of the commenters on a post on the blog. And then people started posting Twitter, quoting Twitter posts, tweets. Okay. I find this incredibly stupid. I like it better when they said that tweeting was a verb, not a noun, when we first started. That, of course, changed. So then I'm just waiting for commenters to post more on the Twitters. And eventually I realized, I've got an account. I'll go in. Now's the time to learn how to use it. And it was great, because that day, get information all over, started following people. I've made a lot of professors, journalists, from both sides of the aisle, trying to get as much information as I could. And it was great, getting all this information. And then the following weeks or so, when all these pictures are coming out, and oh, this is a zip tie guy. We zoomed in on this picture. It's a brand of coffee that they serve in this area of Tennessee. And found out that he's a bartender at a bar that served that coffee. And it was great. It was news all the time, just constant news. But then, of course, I ended up following other people. Following followers, or people would start following me, and I feel I have to follow them back. And next thing you know, it's just full of junk. And then the news cycle slowed down. After February, March, in May, I found myself longing for more news. I need that hit of something new. But everybody's posting the same dull stories. Okay, we've got an indictment. Blah, blah, blah. Got an indictment. Breaking news. We've got an indictment. Yeah, that was 6 hours ago. That's not breaking. Finally, in early June, one morning I looked up and realized I've been sitting looking at Twitter for an hour. I've learned absolutely nothing. And I just kind of noticed on a post, I think it was from Andrew Seidel, the attorney for the Freedom from Religious Foundation, some Christian committing some light hypocrisy. I made a glib response designed to irritate him, turned it off for the weekend, said, I'll let him stew on that till Monday. I'll come back and see what he said. Monday morning, it's not worth it. Haven't been into Twitter since. Thank you.
Christina's joined us online.
Yep.